A little bit background about Vinli. We officially started the company in September 2013. We announced it at TechCrunch Disrupt. And at TechCrunch Disrupt, we were selected out of 700 companies to go on the stage. And they picked 30 companies, and out of the 30 companies, 6 companies got to the finals. And we announced it at TechCrunch Disrupt. And that was the first time we shared the company with the world. Right now, the company, we raised after that a Series A round that was led by Samsung and Continental, and first round, which is an investor in Uber, Wesley Group, which was an early investor in Tesla, and Continental, one of the largest automotive supplier companies. The company literally started from nothing. You know, it's we've literally bootstrapped almost everything in there. And today, I would just want to share with you some of the hacks and tricks that we saw that we've done in multiple companies while we launched in the United States, and share them with you. Maybe it could help you in some way or another. Before Vinli, I started a company called Dialexa, and Dialexa is a global product development company, which basically we take things from a concept stage to a product in the market. We built products for Lockheed Martin, for the U.S. military, for Staples. We even built a product at the Hamad International Airport in there. So we built a lot of products within a very short period of time. And also Dialexa was started with literally just $50. Dialexa, we did not raise any money for it. And then Vinli, up till probably 5 months ago, it was completely bootstrapped. So the first ever round I raised was literally the Series A from Vinli. And after that, through Dialexa, we launched 2 other companies. One of them is called Robin, also was bootstrapped. Robin is like Uber for lawn care. And we're launching another company which is in the personal finance space we're going to announce in a couple of weeks. But the pattern between all these companies that we started is, I like to say it in a way that doesn't sound too bad, but it's basically you need to, what I call it, to have your pimp in order, the PIMP, right? Not the pimp, we all, one more, okay. Just don't, okay, come on in. Yep, sure, that's it, all right. Wow, all right. Good. So PIMP stands for, especially when, for people, investor, marketing, and product, right? And, when you're starting a company in the first 12 months, because right now, if you talk about any business, you read any business book, they tell you, oh, you need people, process, product, right? In the first 12 months or 18 months, you literally have no process. You have no structure. You have no product market fit. You have no idea what you're doing. You just have a great idea. You think you have a great, solution for it, but you have no idea if your solution is going to work. You have no idea if your startup is going to work or not. You have no idea if you're going to make money out of it or not. And you have no idea if you're going to raise money or not. So the only thing you can control at these in the first 12 months is the people you work with, the investors you work with, how you do, hack your marketing together, and how you build your product. So let me start just a little bit with people. One of the biggest things that we find challenging is at the core of any startup is first of all the co-founders, the two people are going to start, 2 or 3 or 4 people starting together. Startups with multiple co-founders are great, because it's honestly the amount of stress is incredible. It's definitely like you're going to be. Have you guys seen the show Shark Tank? Who've seen this? Yeah, it's like literally you're on Shark Tank all the time, day and night, being hammered and brutally criticized every single day, every single second. They're brutal, and it's the emotional roller coaster in startups are just insane. It's just one day you're going to be, oh my God, I'm going to be the next Facebook, And the next day, shit, I'm gonna lose everything and I'm gonna be living on the streets. And you have these emotions all the time, right? So having a co-founder of which you can share these stresses and emotions with, and share the. All right, the next ones I'm gonna actually let them out. All right, just let them. Okay, come on in. All right, this is it. This is it. All right, come on. Just and then I just lost my train of thought. So the co-founders, helps you out in really sharing these stresses and emotions and fears, and also it's someone also you can look at and share ideas with. But this only works. It's like very similar to marriage. It only works when you have the right co-founder, right? Having a wrong co-founder, of which maybe you're both really good people, maybe you're very, very smart, but you don't have the chemistry, you're not on the same wavelength, you don't complement each other. Having the wrong co-founder team is one of the biggest early fatal mistakes that any startup can actually make. So the first thing, I would say in building a fast growth company and succeeding very quickly, because you have a really short period of time which you have to prove your product and get your product market fit until you get to the level where you're interesting enough for a VC to start investing money in you. So, and the first thing you need to do is that sweat equity that you're going to put in. It's definitely tripled or quadrupled when you have the right co-founder, and if you have the right chemistry and you complement each other, that helps a lot. But then after you actually have a co-founder, one of the toughest decisions we faced at a startup, where you need to hire people, you need to work with people, and you settle for good instead of great. This is one of the toughest things when you interview somebody or you want to work with somebody, and they're good. They have the skill set, they're decent, but you don't feel that they're amazing. You don't feel, they can really help you take this to the next level. And especially when you're moving really fast and you really want to hire people and you want people to join your team, it is really hard to say no to good. It's really, really, really hard. But the first 10 people you hire, every single person you have is going to impact the DNA of your company. And the first 18 months is going to set what your company is going to be for the next decade or so. So it's really important to not settle for just good enough. You've got to have really high standards. And you've got to be able to, as a co-founder or an entrepreneur, to excite people. Because a lot of great people, they want to work with other great people. A players want to play with A players. So you need the first people you're going to be pitching to before VCs, and before anyone else, is your team members. And you've got to have them get to the level where they believe in the mission, believe in the vision, and really help you push the product to the next level. So people is really important, right? The second piece is investors, right? Investors are probably the best partner that any startup can have. The right investor for a startup could make a huge difference. And usually, a lot of entrepreneurs I talk to, they have this always like negative sentiment to a certain extent about VCs and investors and all of that. And the irony is, it's like, this is something I've always struggled in understanding why a lot of entrepreneurs look at it this way. Because investors are really, it's someone that actually putting money just on the fact because they believe in you and your company and your concept. And they're taking so much risk to actually go and support you. And so when you talk to an investor, you've got to go and talk first to the right investor. There is no bad investors. There's only right or wrong investor. Some investors are really good for certain startups and certain concepts, and some investors aren't. For example, look at Dallas, like where our company is at. Most of our investors are very traditional, low-risk type of investors. They like to invest in oil and gas companies, real estate companies, enterprise software, healthcare software. But you go into high-risk startup, they freak out. It's like, oh, I don't understand. What's your business model? Where's your business plan? Show me your financial model. What's your customer acquisition cost? And I was like, I'm still like figuring it out. I'm still like 4 months in. I have no idea. I can come up with bullshit, business plan or a hypothetical business plan. I can walk you through a lot of ideas we have, but up till now, I don't know if the customers are going to like it or not. I don't know how, if this product is going to be a market pull or a consumer pull. I don't know that. So what we do is that you've got to go, but that doesn't mean that the investors I talk to were not smart or sharp or really, really good at what they do. It's just they're not a good fit for doing. So that's a second, and the second advice I would probably give to entrepreneurs that don't have, if someone say no to you, there's nothing personal about it. And it doesn't mean that they don't know what the hell they're doing. You're just not a good fit. And at the same time, you have to know one thing. Investors want to put money in startups. They do want to invest. They have bosses. They are a startup themselves. They have to invest money, and they have to make money, out of that. So another thing is that when you go and talk to an investor and look at it as an actual partnership and a relationship you're going to have with somebody, and you want to work with them to actually align, make sure that you have great chemistry with them, and also at the same time they add value to you beyond money. At Vinli, we got around 10 term sheets for an investment. And I literally ended up interviewing investors on what is the value that they could provide beyond money. I started working on knowing them personally, take them out. Hey, let's go out on a trip together. Let's go drink beer, meet over coffee. Do we have really good chemistry, right? Because it's literally going to be like a marriage. Once you accept that money from that investor, they're your partner, and you're going to have to live with them and work with them, hopefully until the company actually exits. So investors don't run, first of all, expect investors, have a healthy relationship with them, but at the same time, really pick an investor that you really get along with. And investors respect that. They like that you're doing that effort. They want you to ask them questions about themselves. They want you to, to see or tell them what kind of value they can provide beyond giving you money, because they want your company successful more than you. They want that. They want the company to grow. They want the company to succeed. So investors is really important. The third piece is marketing. For a company that just started and just a concept, sometimes in the first, I would say 5-6 months, creating a lot of noise helps. Because it sometimes, you the only thing you have is your ability to sell the vision and how this is going to impact the world, and you want to get as much attention as possible. You want your startup, when someone goes on Google and put their name and research you, to see a lot of journalists, analysts, people are impressed about what you're doing. And the challenge in that is that you literally have no money to invest in marketing. You literally have no budget, right? You most likely have no experience on how to do marketing. And this is where it comes, the term growth hacking, or hacking your marketing and PR together comes to play. And there's a lot of ways to do it. The way we did it at Vinli, one of the things we did is, how can we get so much free exposure? And TechCrunch Disrupt was coming. And we said, let's work on TechCrunch Disrupt. And we literally spent almost like 45 days creating videos, pitches, traveling San Francisco, and literally looking for any person that is connected to the TechCrunch team to go and recommend us and say, we're a good fit, this is an exciting start. So we did a lot of guerrilla tactics until we got our email in the hands of TechCrunch. And then after that, we worked really, really hard on hacking together a video to talk about our product, the vision, and all of that. And then we got accepted. And we spent so much time on the presentation to get on the stage. And when we got on the stage, that really changed. The moment I stepped on the stage and announced Vinli, 6 minutes later, the emails start coming in. And we literally spent $0. Up till now, if you go on Google and research Vinli, you'll see tons of articles about it, a lot of exposure, from the BBC to CNN to Forbes, Fortune, all of that. You know how much money we spent on marketing ever since the company existed? Less than $7,000, less than $7,000. And we got all that attention without it. And that was completely through literally building personal relationships, Go to the journalists, follow their Twitter accounts, tweet to them, like their tweets, add them on LinkedIn, send them interesting messages. You've got to, get the, go as a startup. If I was a startup, like if you look at my email, I have one of my Excel spreadsheets. I have a database of more than like 2,000 journalists in the United States. I literally went there and found their emails, their names, and all of that. And I start doing every day, like just doing these guerrilla tactics until you create that perfect storm. Because you literally, the only thing you have the first few months is you. This is your sweat equity. Whatever, every minute, every keystroke you put on that keyboard is going to matter and make an impact. So you've got to be creative in how you do your marketing plan and marketing strategy together. The last one, which is the most important one, is product, right? So people, investors, marketing, product. Product is very important in a lot of ways. And a lot of entrepreneurs, you talk to them, they get really, really in the nitty-gritty stuff of their product in the first, 4 or 5 months. And when you ask someone like about their pitch to tell you what they're doing and how they pitch that, what happens is that they really get into the technology. Here's my technology stack. Here's here's the exactly like this is what I'm gonna do like in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. Instead of actually figuring out what is this like core problem they're solving, because the first when the first investor is going to write you a check, like the first 100K that you're going to get, they're going to evaluate 3 things mainly. These are the only things they can evaluate, right? The first one is that, are you solving a real problem, right? Is this a vitamin or is it a painkiller, right? You can sell a painkiller for $500, but a vitamin, you can go sell it for $5 and no one would actually buy it, right? Some people may select it. So the first thing the investor is going to look at is that, are you solving a real problem? And if so, does your product address it, right? This is something that they need to evaluate. The second part is, even if you solve this problem, is there a market for it? I mean, this is a really important thing. Like, the last thing you want to go and solve a real problem that you really can't make any money out of, right? So, or it cannot scale. Or you solve a problem for 2 people, so what? There's no interest in that. So the second part is that you've got to go and just see, if there's a market for that. And the third piece, which is the most important piece in a startup at any given point, is that, do you have the team that can execute, right? This is really, really important. And you've got to be able to articulate to the investor or the VC that your team is a winning team. They bet on the jockey, not on the horse. They want to actually see that you are a winner and you can win and you can really take this company to the next level. Because they're very smart. They know that whatever you're telling them at that point, probably 80% of it is completely not going to happen. I mean, that's the truth. That's the truth. The startups are going to iterate all the time. And literally sometimes you go like 180 degrees within one year in terms of your product. So, but the only way that they could feel comfortable that they're taking that risk and is to feel that they have a team in place that can iterate and move fast enough, right? In adjusting their product and getting it to the level where there is a product market fit. And this is probably the biggest thing you need to be working on in the first 12 months is this product market fit. Because now you have the people, you've got good marketing, you're starting to pitch to investors, but at the same time, will the dog eat the dog food, right? You created that, but are they going to do it or not? And this is the biggest test for you when you build a product, when it's not a story anymore, right? It's not a vision anymore. And now customers are trying to go and sell the customers. And most of the startups fail at that point, because you're drinking the Kool-Aid. I love this idea. This is amazing and all of that. You build a product, you're going to market, and boom, no one likes it, or no one downloads your app, or has no value. So that's why when you architect the product, when you build the product, you need to get it to level. You need to have the team in place, the structure in place, and the features in place where you can iterate extremely quickly. What we did at Vinli, we are able to literally, even up with our team right now, with our infrastructure right now, to push new features and change interfaces within 24 hours. Within 24 hours, we can push a completely new feature or change the interface and all of that. And what we did when we started launching, we had a lot of pre-orders. What we started doing, we started selecting 50% of the people, or the females, and 50% male. We started selecting the age groups that we're going to send the product to. And we put 3 different versions of the interface of the product to be able to start seeing which, like doing the A/B testing between all of them, which demographic is resonating with what features and what flow. And then we started working on it and kept iterating on it until we got to the level where we have a good interface that works for most of the people. And still, we're still iterating all the time. So you've got to have a couple of things to be able to do this. First, don't take it personally. Don't be egotistical, like when someone tells you your product sucks. That's actually the thing that you want to hear. You want to talk to people who tell you, like, I hate your product. You know, it's bullshit. I don't like it. I don't understand it. You've got to talk to people who are challenging you. The last thing you want to do, no, I don't think it's bullshit. It's because this and this and that. No, you've got to listen. Listen a lot and talk less. You've got to listen so much in the first 6 to 9 months. And you've got to go and talk to the most cynical, skeptical people around your product. And that will help you in many things. First, it helps you practice your pitch, because you want to challenge people. You've got to be able to answer the tough questions, because as you grow and then as you have asking more money, as you're doing marketing, the questions are going to be tougher and the cynicism is going to be tougher, right? So what happens is that you've got to be able to talk to people who do not like your product and get their feedback and listen to it. I was talking to a couple of entrepreneurs yesterday and I was trying to tell them, like, hey, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. And you can feel that discomfort in here, like a couple of startups here. You can feel this discomfort about that someone is criticizing their baby. I know it is uncomfortable. It's like you have a kid and you think your kid is the most beautiful kid in the world. And then you go there and show it to, showing the people, here's my baby. And you tell them, like, man, this is an ugly baby, right? That's the last thing you want to hear, right? You're like, no, my baby is beautiful, right? But it doesn't matter if they think, it's ugly, the baby's ugly, the baby's ugly. So what you need to do is that the good thing with startups is that you can adjust that, you can iterate on that, and you can work on enhancing it. So that's why, the product market fit stage, a lot of entrepreneurs fail to really go to the level where they get the feedback from the market and iterate on a product fast enough. Because literally, chances are you have 12 months to get to the level where, that's not kind of all the statistics show. Like, you've got to have almost around 12 months where you can bootstrap your company, get it to the level where, an investor is going to write you a check to take it to the next level. And product market fit is one of the biggest things that are out there. The more you can prove it, the higher chances that an investor is going to give you the money. So once you go and you figured out your product market fit, people are going to like it, you've got some good team in place, you've got some attention, you've got some investment, pat yourself on the back for 10 minutes and then roll your sleeves and get started to the next stage of your company. And now you have a board, you have partners, and now you have to start making money. And now more than your product and more than your team and marketing, now they want to see how you're going to scale your product. How are you going to go and get this product in the hands and as many people as possible? And a lot of people go and just look at Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all these regular and Twitter. They look at those and it's like, oh, I'm going to do their strategy. Yeah? It's like, who told you that this is the best strategy? It's like, I'm going to just do marketing. I'm going to go on Facebook ads. I'm going to go and, just go on the streets and, give flyers about it. Every business is very different. And usually products succeed in 2 ways. It's going to be a consumer pull, which basically you create a product like Facebook and people just love it. Like really, really love it. Or like Instagram, and they really, really love it. And then the consumer pushes the market towards, your product. That's what happened with Facebook. MySpace was the big deal then, and the consumer loved Facebook, and then Facebook came big. But most of the products do not, just become just a regular consumer pull and consumers download it and use it. A lot of products actually become a market pull. So basically, you convince not the consumers in the market, you convince the big players in the market to align around your product. And these are the players that control the supply chain, the logistics, the distribution, and all of that. And they can actually push your product to market. So sometimes, even if you had a consumer product, think of ways to get this product in the hands of people, not through you directly selling to consumers. And there's the two ways. You can go B2C, which basically you directly marketing to consumers. And it's really hard to do B2C when you just got a 100K check and part of it is going to go on your salary, right? You're not going to be able to do it. So one of the creative ways we did at Vinli, after we assembled the team, started building the product and all of that, one of the ways we did is we played with, worked on our go-to-market strategy and distribution strategy. So Vinli is a consumer product. It is not an enterprise product. It is a product that the consumer is going to buy, plug in their car, and use. It's a completely consumer product. But the way we're getting it to the consumer, we're literally not marketing to the consumer at all. So the way we're able to do it, we created a way to find interested entities around, in the industry that are incentivized to sell our product, are incentivized for Vinli to succeed. And one of them we found out is telecom companies, like carriers, right? We have a Wi-Fi hotspot inside in the device, right? And every device we sell, it means they make more revenue. So we started negotiating deal with them. It's like, we're not going to go and be there just spending money on marketing for you to make money. We're only signing a deal with you if you're going to distribute the product and market the product and push the product. And we have the right pitch for them. And that, literally just that piece, every contract we sign with a carrier gives us access to, at a minimum, thousands of customers. And in the United States, hundreds of thousands of customers a year. For example, like, let's say we sign a deal with T-Mobile, right? T-Mobile has 2,200 stores in the country and 4,000 third-party retail. If they go and start pushing it in the stores, all of a sudden your product with one contract gets into 6,000 stores and sell 2 devices per store a month, you're already selling 150,000 units a year. That contract alone is worth $30 million. Just one, right? One customer. Imagine how much money it will take us to go and try to sell the product directly to 200,000 or 300,000 people. So when you're looking at your startup, look out of the way is that what are the businesses that get impacted, that are impacted by your product. Don't look at the influence of your product to the consumer, which is great. Look at how your product impacts certain businesses, because you can actually go and align and put partnerships in place to really have these businesses pushing your product. And we literally spend no money on marketing, 0, right? The second business we identified was dealerships, right? You go into a dealership, you buy a car. We discovered that 70% of the profit for dealerships come from maintenance and services. So it's like, oh, how can we go and, if someone has a Vinli device, come back to a dealership and do maintenance and service to that? So we created an offering with that. Now we're working with a lot of dealerships in the United States. They would give the device for free and package it out of with new cars. Hey, get this X car. It's already Wi-Fi enabled, has an app store, and they package it part of the finance. I mean, literally, all of a sudden, the consumer is not paying money for the product, for that. So that's also another creative way. Insurance companies, like that. So I can keep going on and on and on. The pattern I want to show you is that, find ways, be creative in the way you get your product to market. Don't just focus on, oh, I'm going to build the product because it makes sense to me. First, find it makes sense to a lot of people. And second, find the businesses that are impacted with that and see if you can actually go and structure another strategy. We also had we launched a company called Robin, the Uber for lawn care. We implemented a very similar model. We saw that, okay, we can provide a simple app for the consumer. They can pick it up and say, come do my lawn every 2 weeks. Everything, credit card payment done, rating system. It's very similar to Uber, right? But we said, like, okay, well, it's providing great value to consumer, but what are the businesses that are getting impacted? We're impacting the lawn care industry and changing it completely. Because all of a sudden someone doesn't have to pay for marketing, right? Doesn't have to go walk in the neighborhoods and put their cards on the doors and all that. So we started implementing, having them and anyone who's going to be on our product company, on our platform, so they would actually go and market our product in these neighborhoods. They spend probably 30% time, of what they used to spend, and then that 30% is basically they're marketing our product. So all of a sudden, we're spending almost zero dollars on marketing on our product, and now Robin, within I think 4 months, is doing hundreds of thousands of dollars in transactions per month. It's within that's only 4 to 5 months. So these are ways. Vinli and Robin, both of these companies were created and launched within very similar period, and both grew very fast within a 12-month timeline. And it was because of all these elements: in structuring the team right at the beginning, doing this, hacking your marketing together, finding the right business model, right? And then finding the right investors that can give you the scale. Now here in Lebanon, I grew up in Lebanon. I left in 2006. It's probably harder, and probably a lot, for sure it's harder. Not probably. Probably a lot of you are thinking, is like, what the hell is this guy talking about? It's probably just the United States. This doesn't make any sense here, which is, probably. But the good thing about Lebanon, and I'm seeing this trend, I've been talking to so many investors here, and you can start seeing the change, It's just like, look at this, like BDLaccelerate, like, it's just amazing to see how many startups. Last year we had like 5 startups. Now there's so many startups are there. VCs in Lebanon, are actually good. I would say, probably, some of them are still like in the banking mentality, but a lot of them are really damn good people. I mean, they actually really look at things in the right way. So what happens is that you've got to be able to leverage what's going on in Lebanon right now. You probably have this opportunity. God knows if hopefully some of these startups will exit, and then the central bank can put more money and all of that. But leverage that opportunity for the next 2-3 years, because hopefully you will have another opportunity, but you may not have another opportunity in Lebanon where you have that much money now being put and invested in the market for that. So don't be afraid. If you have a concept you believe in, bet the ranch on it, because you have one thing, ironically, that you have an advantage over any entrepreneur in the United States. Yes, you have a lot of disadvantages, but you have a very damn good advantage here just growing up in Lebanon. And this advantage is actually one of the most important ingredient for an entrepreneur or a startup. And it is survival skills, right? Lebanon, literally, you have no idea, but every day you're conditioned to, literally, if you want to take a taxi, it's a freaking process, right? If you want to order something, it's a freaking process. If you want to use the freaking internet, right? Sometimes you need wait for electricity to come in, right? You have no speed. So what happens is that all of a sudden you're conditioned every single day without you realizing to I'll call it a hostile environment that is literally working against you. And somehow people end up going to schools. Somehow people end up getting really high education. Somehow they can start starting companies, right? And imagine when you have an entrepreneur or people who are resilient and have these type of skills, you've got something that no one else, very few people in the world has. And that goes also in a lot of countries in the Middle East. In the United States, I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and you see the things they complain about sometimes. And say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, And this is just a guy could be just complaining about, I don't know, Obamacare. That's like his biggest, complaint. Or complaint is like, oh, VCs are not giving me money. It's like, you have shitload of VCs here. Like, there's so much abundance of money. What the hell are you complaining? Your product doesn't make sense, right? Or you don't have a great team and all of that. And it's still you start seeing they don't have, a lot of entrepreneurs are great in the United States, but a lot of them do not have the skill sets that you have in here. Literally, it's like every person you talking to all these startups outside, and it's just amazing, how they did this thing, with such a minimal resources. I was talking to Anghami yesterday, the team in there. It was like, how in the hell did they do this? Like with really minimal resources. I mean, imagine in the United States, it was a freaking challenge for Spotify to make people pay for their songs. In Lebanon or the Middle East, they're fighting against piracy. I mean, people are used not to pay money, right? In the US, people are used to pay money to buy the disc or through iTunes or any of that. In here, I mean, you can go to a gas station and buy Adele's new DVD, right? Or CD. I mean, it's like crazy. And how can you go and fight, not actually create a great business model, right? Or create a startup, but how can you change the mindset of people on how people think? And look at them now. It's like millions of users growing so fast. I mean, I talked to them about their technology. Amazing. This is amazing. And it's all done. I was just trying to find ways like, did they get anything from the US or nothing? This is happened completely organically. And there's a lot of tons of startups that can get to that level and get on the global stage. So that's why, and that comes down to the core. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to know that you have certain things that other entrepreneurs do not have. Leverage your disadvantages. Leverage, all the hardships that you're going through, and use them to your advantage. And now use one of the biggest opportunities you have right now with all that money going in, and do it. So if you're on the edge and thinking about, jumping the ship, betting your ranch, and create your own startup, stop thinking about it. There's nothing scientific about startups. There's just go and do it. Just do it. Just do it, and remember, do it in a smart way. It's an art rather than science, but it has very core elements that I just shared with you. So that's probably, I just want to share this with you at a high level. If you guys have any questions, open it up.
Thanks, Mark. So a quick question about your product. So can you take us through kind of the process you went through? You went from the idea, what did you build, what was the MVP? Did you test it out? How did you take the feedback? Can you take us through how the product went from just being an idea to what it is now?
I wanted to project. So we started with the idea. The first thing we started doing with Vinli was we wanted to create a device that diagnoses your car. That's it. So we went like, okay, we can create an OBD device. You plug it in, you open your phone, and then start diagnosing your car. OBD is an onboard diagnostics port, which is the port that your mechanic uses. They call here the scanner. They put the scanner in. So we said, you know what? Let's create a device and create an app that is the mechanic for every person. Right? That was the idea at the beginning. And so we built, hacked the product together. We had a couple of, electrical engineers, convinced them to work for, $2,000 and built a quick prototype. And then we started, literally the moment we did that, we created 6 devices and we sent it to tech geeks. Actually 4 devices to tech geeks and 2 devices for 42 years old females, mothers. That's what we did. And the tech geeks were like, well, it's cool. They used it once or twice. It was really, the impact when they plugged it in at the beginning was, oh, this is cool. And then we asked them, have you used it after that? It's like, no. The mom, the 41 years old mom, she said, like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Because we thought, oh, we're going to tell that she's going to be excited that the mechanic is not going to take advantage of her anymore. And she's going to like it because, something's going to remind her of their oil change and all of that and all of that. And she's like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't need it, And it's really scary. I mean, she was very intimidated. They were very intimidated by it. So we said, like, okay, that sucks. So let's iterate. But there's still something there, right? And then we created a Wi-Fi hotspot, right? And we said, oh, maybe it's the Wi-Fi. It could be anything. So we literally go and got one of the AT&T's hubs, the regular hubs. So I told them, like, hey, would you use it in your car? And we gave it to families, right? To the same mothers, the 2 moms that actually, and they started using the Wi-Fi. Oh, my kids love it. They're streaming, videos in the back, and all that. It's like, maybe there's something there, right? And then we started thinking, so what is the thing? What are the things? Maybe tracking could be a good thing, right? Tracking. So we created tracking, and then all of a sudden we're only attracting fleet and enterprise companies and all of that. And then we had this idea. It's like, there's so many things you can do with this. Why in the hell are we just trying to create an app that does certain things? Maybe let's go and see if we can create a platform and put all the elements in place and allow people or developers to build apps. And that was one of the biggest probably inflection points in our product, product design. So we hacked a product together that had Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, and the diagnostics piece, and start giving it to people. The same 6 people, we became 20. And then all of a sudden we had like 15 people loved the product, but each one of them loved it for a completely different reason. Some of them loved it for the Wi-Fi, some of them loved it for the maintenance, some of them like for tracking. So everyone was completely different. So it's like, okay, there's something there, right? We're starting having the right ingredient, and we're covering a lot of demographics in there, which is the same thing that happens with the phone, right? So what happens that now we have a chicken and egg problem. It's like, how are we going to get developers build apps on our platform? How is that possible? Because it's only worth as much how many apps and services you have. And luckily, we were developers, so we created a quick developer portal. And what we do, we hacked this thing together. We created 18 meetups in different cities in the world. We just literally went to meetup.com and created it. It cost us $20 in each meetup. And then we said, we'll buy pizza for developers. And we started getting developers. And we literally told them, sign up and put an app idea, and we'll help, see if you can build it and hack it together. And within, literally before we went to TechCrunch Disrupt, we had 13 apps, submitted in there. And and it was completely for someone who just likes to hack things. They did not care about the business model or marketing, all that. So all of a sudden, before TechCrunch, we had a product that resonates, with people. And then to a certain extent, we didn't have massive testing, but we start seeing a good pattern in there. And in addition to that, we've got some kind of validation with developers. So that's why the moment we announced at TechCrunch Disrupt, we had 103 apps submitted within the first week of TechCrunch. It resonated very well. Our messaging resonated extremely well with developers. So anyways, after that, what we did is that we ended up unifying all these features on one device that has all these things, and then we had a really mediocre go-to-market strategy. Honestly, if you hear my pitch last October, you would know VC would give you money. I mean, literally got hammered. It's like, what are you talking about, man? That doesn't make any sense. Are you gonna go and sell it, do Facebook ads, and I could not convince anyone. And then we started, talking. Oh, let me talk to a dealership. Let me talk to a carrier, and started getting this validation from them. And all of a sudden, I've got letter of interest, right, from all these companies. I don't have any signed deal. And then I was able to paint the picture. Here's the product. It resonates with these people. It resonates with developers. And and our go-to-market strategy is resonating with carriers, dealerships, and insurance companies. And after that, the moment these pieces fell in place, so I got 10 term sheets for this. We talked to 21 VCs who wanted to put money. I talked to 127 investors. So more than 100 of them, they said, no, this is a bad idea. I don't have it. I have no clue, what you're talking about. So made so many mistakes. So you got so many no's. You got punched in the face more than 100 times. Imagine, again, your baby and pitching it. You're excited and all that. Like, nah, doesn't make any sense, right? And you've got to live that. Most of VCs are not going to give you money. That is the reality. You've got to remember, the right one, right? And then after that, but what happened is that while we're pitching, we started learning all these challenging questions. They actually helped us so much because oh yeah, that makes sense. Whatever he's saying makes total sense. Let me do research. Let me work on it. Let me do these experiments. So what made us really move really fast is these quick experiments that we did allowed us to fail, but fail extremely fast. So you've got to do failing right. You've got to fail the right way. You cannot just go and invest all your time and effort and money so you can fail a year from now. You've got to try to fail. How can I fail within the next 3 days? So find yourself while you're creating a product, create these quick experiments, quick tests, so you can actually go and see how you can fail fairly quickly. And that helped us a lot. And that's why it's like everything I'm telling you happened literally within 12 months. So imagine.
So Mark, I know you know I'm a big fan. I'm a product-based startup, and one of the things that we are currently struggling in Lebanon is, beside the creating the product, the prototype, etc., here locally, is the recruitment and the team. You mentioned something about you need someone amazing. We're already struggling into finding someone good, because unfortunately the good is not even here. So I don't know if there's a way for us maybe to bridge that with where in the States people go there with no job, knowing that we'll find something and they are actually great people. We are really struggling on not finding proper talent.
So, well, here's the thing. So out of the people who graduated from my school, I was the only one who went to the United States. And I guarantee you there was at least 20 or 30% of the people who graduated with me are more skilled and better than me. Right? So, and they're all here. They're all in the Middle East. The thing is that don't just go in the preconceived notions like, oh, there's no talent, no skills. You're here. You're amazing, right? You have great talent. You're doing a product. You're here. There's so many people like you. But you have to go. What happens in order to get the talent, you got to hunt for the talent. Don't just like go and I'm just going to sit there and go to this event and some magical guy is going to go on Twitter. Like I literally had, maybe he's here. I had like a 15 years old guy. What's his name? It's not here. He said he's going to attend. 15 years. You know him? I mean, oh my God. 15 years old. He writes code in Node.js and Ember and all that. I can't find an engineer in the United States to do it. We pay like 130 grand for someone with these skills. He's 15 years old here in Lebanon doing this stuff. Where is he? He's outside? Yeah. He's an amazing guy. I told him, do you want to work with Vinli? I was like, yeah. It's like, I'm going to hire him. But I was telling you, like, why didn't you hire him? You could have found him. And you've got to go and get him excited to that. And there's so many people like that. But you've got to go on social media, go on Twitter, go on LinkedIn. I'm the ultimate stalker for talent. I swear to God, I stalk people all the time in the United States. I go on LinkedIn, I see any tweet that mentions any person that is interesting, and I have literally a spreadsheet. I put, oh, this is the name of person. I mean, literally, it's like CIA work. But this is the guy, he was mentioned on this tweet, and all that. And literally, the moment I have time, I find the reason to reach out to that person. Either go and like their tweet, retweet them, send them a LinkedIn message, send them an email, and all of that. And network. Find anyone who's interesting, align yourself with interesting people, things will happen. There's a lot of talented people in Lebanon. Look at your friends, he's working in Nokia. Look at your friends working in Ericsson. It's like, yeah, I know, but I want to do this. I want to take the risk. So again, the mentality definitely is a big challenge. But as an entrepreneur, you should just don't give a shit. Just do it. Just don't do it. Just do it. No, I mean, it's like, here's the thing. You shouldn't care about, listen, if an entrepreneur is sensitive toward this stuff, you're not going to succeed. You should not care. The only reason you're doing what you're doing, because you're the only one on this planet who's crazy enough to think you can make this idea happen, and you're naive enough to put all the effort to do it, and maybe you're lucky enough that this would succeed. That's why, you're against all the odds, so what's, your neighbor's perception or market perception, you shouldn't care. Don't care about it. Once you succeed, people are going to tell you, like, he's lucky, right time, right place, and then you forget all the shit that you actually have to go through until, so you actually, make it happen, so.
Why do you feel you have to focus a lot on the time, 6 months or 1 year to achieve success or not? Why 6 months or 1 year to determine?
So first of all, it's not to achieve success. It's basically to get to the level where you have a decent product market fit and people can fund your money. Because the first 12 months, you're bootstrapping. You're on your own and you're doing most of the work, right? So, and usually if you look at it, most of the startups, most people like you literally give up after 1 year if it's not working out, right? So because like if you're getting this beating all the time, you quit your job, because I'm talking about doing startup like really hardcore. You quit your job, you jump ship, you have no salary. If you have savings, every day it keeps going down every single day. And then you're going to get this beating for 12 months. At that point, most of entrepreneurs give up at that point. You know? So what happens that the main reason I'm focusing on that is that I usually like in creating any startups and any of the entrepreneurs or CEOs we recruit in Dialexa Labs companies, we put this sense of urgency on them. Like literally function, you're going to die tomorrow, right? What are you going to do today? If you knew that you're literally going to leave this planet in 3 months and you have to succeed in your startup, right? And leave this as your legacy. And then that changes the mindset, because all of a sudden you're not working on an infinite time scale, and pushes everyone to start thinking in a more creative ways to get things done. And then failure, you can't wait 6 months to fail. Then all of a sudden, oh, I need to fail in 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So that's why I usually talk about 6 months to get your product and get the first good feedback back from the market on that. 12 months to start getting into a good business model, a decent business model, and a good product that could support it. Because then you can find, startup age is almost 6, 7 years until it succeeds. And then the first time someone going to write you a check, probably 100K, and then you guys 500, and then Series A, that's a second year, and then Series B, third, fourth year. So basically, that's kind of almost the typical timeline. Now, there's a lot of outliers. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people bootstrap their companies 5, 6 years. But chances are, if you've been working on something for the last 6 years and not getting any traction from an investment or a client or customers, all that, chances are you're the only one probably. You're doing something wrong at that point. And I'm talking specifically about fast growth tech startups.
Hi. I just wanted to ask you about the factor that is your exposure to where you were. How much would you value this for a potential success? Your exposure to because you were in the United States precisely after your education. So what percentage is the exposure to the right market will give like any startup, especially in technology?
I would say 99%. That's fine. I mean, that's because of the United States. But I'm telling you, without that 1% that I had before I left the United States, there's no way it can happen. Because you know what happens? Like, everything you got to do, 99 trials and fail in them, and then the last one is going to work. So what happens is that I leveraged the skills I had in Lebanon, right, in order to do it in the United States. Now, in Lebanon, I could have got a good job. I think I could have made a good, decent startup. I don't know. I could have failed in it or not. But I know I had some certain skill sets in me that can allow you to create a company or, in many markets. But of course, the US is 99% of the exposure. But that does not mean that because you're in the United States, you cannot succeed somewhere else. Like, look, Anghami, I'm just going to give you an example. They're here. They're doing it here, and they're doing an amazing job by all metrics, for a market. So don't always think about it that I have to be in the United States. Oh, I'm not in the United States. It means I'm not going to succeed. There's a lot of money, a lot of market, decent market in here. You can do it. Of course, it's going to be harder. Of course, it's going to be harder. 100%. You guys are going to be on a much more, uphill battle. Maybe like in the United States, you're going to be running on a 5-degree angle. Here, you're going to be on 45-degree. But it doesn't mean that without enough training and all of that, you cannot climb a steeper hill.
Do you foresee that you could have done Vinli in Lebanon?
No, I don't think so. I don't think maybe I could have done Vinli maybe 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, but I don't think I could have done Vinli in Lebanon. I mean, it's literally in Lebanon. I could not get a scholarship because, at a certain point, because I was not part of any political party. I mean, it's crazy. There's a lot of things. There was no electricity, but it's getting better. That's what I'm trying to say. And don't think Anghami is not going to be Spotify. It's not going to be sold for $2 billion. But it's going to be probably a company that's worth $100 million. And this is a damn good company. This is a really good company. And you can create companies. I mean, the nice thing about the Middle East is that there's an opportunity where a lot of US companies, they don't understand the market. They don't get it. They speak completely different language, completely different culture. You can literally create a lot of companies in here. You have 300 million people speak Arabic in here. You have some of the richest countries on the planet in terms of per capita in here, right? And it's hungry. There's nothing in it. There's literally nothing. So that's why the way I see is that always use the disadvantage that you have to an opportunity. So I'll tell you what I would do if I were in the Middle East. I would look at anything that's really working really well in the United States, see how it could work really, really well in the Middle East, and do it. Move like Anghami. Like Spotify, people don't understand, don't get it. They don't play it. Some people play Spotify. They did it. Look at this. You know, they have Shahia. They did something. You know, got an exit $50 million. So you don't have, even in the United States, unicorns are really rare. How many companies? Probably a company a year that are worth $1 billion and all of that. You hear most of the companies, yes, fail. And a lot of companies get a really damn good exit, which is 20, 30, $40 million. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I would be very happy having $50 or $60 million in my bank account, right? You know, so that's what I'm saying is that don't always use the scale of the United States, you know, and Europe to the scale here, you know, that in Lebanon. So, you had a question?
Okay, so I need to ask you, why aren't we taught in schools or university how to become entrepreneurs? We're only taught to be employees.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I think maybe because the people teaching at school are not entrepreneurs, I would guess. Yeah, most of the people are PhDs and they've never started a company and they don't know how to teach it. How can you teach something you don't know? Yeah, I mean, then, I don't know. I mean, that's probably a question for a school. I would think entrepreneurship is some of the best skill sets to teach, but I think in order for someone to teach you the skill, they need to possess it. You know, and I think most of my professors, they were very purely academic. So, and I don't think even if they wanted to teach it, they would try to teach it in theory, you know, too much instead of in practice. And entrepreneurship, there's nothing glorious or theoretical and scientific about it. You know, it's definitely, you know, it's a battle, and someone needs to teach you certain skill sets rather than certain science, you know, for that. And the only way you do it is someone can teach you an experience. Because whatever I'm telling you may not make any sense to you. What I'm trying to say, you know, doing here is that I'm sharing what made sense to me. You know, and that's why it's like this beauty of entrepreneurship. Every entrepreneur creates their own path and define their own way of doing and getting things done.
Did you have any legal problems with car companies when you are using the OBD port? Because I had heard some stuff like the data ownership, and I want to ask.
So we were lucky enough that the only standard thing for cars, other than the shape of the tire, was the OBD port, and that was not because the automotive companies wanted it. It was because the government mandated it. This is the only way the government knows whether you have emissions in your car and the CO2 levels are good or not. And this is how what VW did, was cheating. They actually cheated the output on the OBD port in order for this not to get reported. So the data ownership, the automotive companies do not own the data. Once they sell the car, it's the consumer's car. And the way we do it legally is that basically at the moment the consumer plugs in the device, they decide whether they want to allow Vinli to get that data or not. And then anytime an app wants to access that data, they decide whether they allow the app or not. So we took the ownership from the government and the automaker and us and put it in the hand of the consumer and let them decide. So, thank you very much.